So like I said, we'll go through the lifespan kind of in order, and I have it broken down into these different time periods. One of the things I want to say, these time periods are somewhat arbitrary. It's just helpful to like break things up into these chunks so that we can talk about sort of a snapshot. But it's not like there's anything magical that's changing from one year, to the next or whatever that like delineates this is now you're in toddlerhood instead of infancy. It just kind of makes it easier to talk about. So these are the time periods. The way that I'll go through them, we'll start with prenatal development. So that's how you're developing in the womb after conception until birth. And then we'll go through the rest of the lifespan. You'll also notice maybe that these time periods are not evenly broken up, right? So we'll spend a lot of time talking about the first year and the second year and the third year, and then they get a lot broader, right? Like early adulthood is a whole 20-year span. I don't want that to trick you into thinking that like you're not changing at all from 20 to 40. There's people in this class, myself included, I'm 35 now, so I can tell you from 20 to 35, there's a lot of changes happening. But again, it's just kind of an easier way to break down the class and talk about these different topics. I feel like we kind of front load a lot talking about earlier development more than later development. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff that's happening in adulthood. So, yes. Let's see. So also, like I said, we'll cover lots of different areas of development. So even though the name of the class is Lifespan Psychology, we don't just focus on psychology. We also talk about biological development, like I said. That'll be, a huge piece of it. I would say probably about half the content in the class is biology, and then the other half is sort of more psychology-related stuff. We'll talk about cognitive development, social and emotional. And I would say even here, the lines between these things are kind of blurry. Right? Like your cognition is based on your brain, and your brain is part of your biology. So again, even though I break it down into these different areas, there's not like always a super clear line between these different topics. But those are some of the areas that we'll cover. Some of the common themes that you'll see come up over and over again, things that'll get kind of repetitive almost by the end of the class. One of them is this idea of continuity versus discontinuity, which is something I've already kind of been talking about, just not in those words. So there's, some areas of development happen in this really gradual fashion where it's almost like not perceptible that something is changing because it's happening so gradually. Other things are very discontinuous, where we sort of develop in steps. So if you think about, like growth spurts, for example. I have a son who's 16. He's gone through 3 or 4 major growth spurts at this point. And it's like one day I wake up and he's just suddenly like 2 inches taller, it seems like. I mean, obviously it's not that extreme, but that's what it feels like. It feels like overnight he's changing, right? If you think of big changes like puberty or menopause, those are a lot more discontinuous, where they're happening in these like sort of stepwise, very quick, rapid changes. But then, like I said, other changes are much more continuous. There are things that you don't even notice that they're changing until maybe you look back and reflect and realize that, wow, in the past 10 years, I've become more open-minded or something. But it's not something that happened overnight. It's something that happened in this really gradual, continuous way. So, depending on what area of development we're talking about and which period we're talking about, that development can happen in this really gradual, continuous fashion, or it can happen in this more discontinuous fashion. And sometimes there's debate about it. Sometimes it's controversial and researchers haven't really determined which of those, a particular development falls into. So like, for example, I always heard that turning 30 is like this huge thing, kind of almost like puberty or menopause or something, that your body changes drastically. I'm 35 and I never really felt that way. It felt much more continuous, sort of gradual. So that's not like a settled thing. There's, debate about it. Another topic we'll come back to frequently is the idea of nature versus nurture, or genes versus environment. So if we're talking about something like criminals, what makes someone a murderer or a sociopath? Is it something that they're born with in their genes, or is it something that they develop through their experiences in their environment? Kind of spoiler for, anytime you ask that question, the answer is almost always going to be both. It's always going to be, there's some combination of genes and environment that interact together. So maybe the more interesting question is like, which of those has the strongest influence? So we'll come back to that idea of nature versus nurture frequently throughout the class. Stability versus change, kind of similar to continuity versus discontinuity. But the idea here is like, what are the things that do change over the lifespan? Is there anything about you that stays the same from the time you're born until the time you pass away? This can get a little bit philosophical even, right? If you think about like, are you the same person that you were 5 years ago? Physically, in a lot of ways, you're not, right? Like your cells are constantly dying and exchanging and turning over. This is kind of disgusting, but I've heard the statistic over and over again that like you replace your skin every 7 years. So every 7 years, your skin has basically died and sort of slothed off and turned into dust in the air, and you've built new skin cells, right? So on a physical level, a lot of your body is not the same as it was 7 years ago. On a mental level, you might think about like, is there anything about your personality that persists for the entire lifespan? Or are we just constantly changing everything? So we'll talk a little bit about that. What are the things that seem to be relatively permanent versus things that change very easily? And occasionally we'll also reference the idea of things that are universal versus context specific. So this takes into account things like culture. So, you know, in some cultures, development might happen in one way, and then in a different culture, it might be influenced by the culture of the society, and so you might develop slightly differently. So we'll try to take into account things like culture, gender, even generation. So the way that boomers developed from birth to, 70s might be very different from how my generation, I'm a millennial, how we develop from birth might be very different. So you will try to take into account all those different contextual pieces that change the way that a person develops that are less universal. And I just want to emphasize again, kind of last thing before we leave for the day, that I do think the cool thing about this class is that so much of it is going to be personally relevant to you. It's information that you're going to be able to take and, again, almost like therapy, maybe reflect back on your own childhood and think about, something about the way your parents raised you or how you interacted with friends. Like, how did that impact you to become the person you are today? And now, can you use that information to improve yourself, right? You can also use it if you're raising children or you have nieces or nephews or you have friends with kids and you're around kids and you want to impact them in a positive way. Knowing how people develop is going to help you with that a lot. So you asked me earlier how I got into psychology. That was another thing. I told you I have a son who's 16. I was 19 when I had him. So I got pregnant at 18, had a son at 19 years old, which was not planned, was very early, and had a little bit of dysfunctional childhood. So I kind of felt like, I don't have a good model for parenting. So I would like to do something to help make sure that I'm going to be more successful as a parent than my parents were. So again, going into psychology and learning a lot of this stuff helped with that. It helped me to raise my son, to continue to raise my son. It helps me interacting with my nieces. A lot of it even helps with like raising my dog or training my dog, because the way that animals work, pretty similar to the way that we work. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in here that you can apply to your life. And I think you'll get the most out of this class if you intentionally do that. If you maybe every day after class, just take a little bit of time to reflect on how this applies to you, how you can, use it to make yourself and the people around you better people. So that's what I hope you get out of it, at least.